So we beat up on the cops pretty good last time.
Kind of.
I don't feel bad.
I remember we were neutral on one of them.
We're neutral on one of them. Yeah, we're gonna be equal opportunity on this one.
All right.
All right, we're gonna start with some firefighters. Obviously, where are they from? Florida.
Oof, I was going to say that.
Veteran Florida medics fired for erroneously pronouncing patient dead.
That's happened a lot of places.
Well, they usually don't walk out of the hospital 2 days later.
That is true.
So, 2 Clearwater fire medics who wrongly declared a man dead in February have been terminated. Fire medics Jacob Rivero and Sebastian Pickens, one's 27, the other one's 26, were placed on administrative duty while officials reviewed the incidents. Rivero and Pickens responded to a call around 10 a.m. February 15th after a 66-year-old man, Thomas Maxwell, suffered a cardiac arrest in a private residence. After the initial check, fire medics did not find a pulse and said Maxwell was not breathing and was cold to the touch and completely unresponsive. That was a quote. About a minute later, Pickens saw Maxwell take a breath and told Rivero, but neither of the medics took any action.
That's a problem.
That is a problem. Violating policy, according to the fire rescue documents. They reported that Maxwell was showing signs of rigor mortis in his jaw, but body cam footage from the deputy who responded to the scene showed Maxwell's jaw moving. So,
another problem.
Clearly, this was an issue. Pickens and Rivero left the scene after the deputies arrived. One of the deputies noticed that Maxwell was still breathing and called medical first responders. So it seems like because another fire department showed up. So I don't know how their run system works. Maybe they have private or something like that. But it turns out that they didn't even put the monitor on him.
That's another problem.
So they were basically just like, hey, this dude had inagonal respirations and they've had their certifications revoked. And if you ever had, I've had some cores where I'm like, I really hope this person's dead. Like, it's disgusting. You're in this like horrific hoarder condition and you're like, all right, if they're in there, I hope we don't have to work them in there.
Yeah, it gets really messy.
Yeah. And then we've had some calls where like they're clearly, and before our protocols changed, like we had to get 12 leads on people for our reports or whatever. I'm sure there's a statute of limitations out there, but we went to one person who was like decaying, like clearly had been dead for a very, very long time, and nobody wanted to put the leads on him. So my field instructor at the time put him on a dresser. All the leads on a dresser.
Well, I've just not done it sometimes because, I remember going in on one and their face was eaten off,
I think we're good.
And it stinks and nobody's heard from her 3 weeks and it's nasty.
What ate it off?
Her cat. Oh. Yeah, cat's not getting fed.
Cat's going to eat.
Yeah, gotta stay alive. And it was alive.
Oh, that's disgusting.
It is really disgusting. I'll never unburn that from my memory.
Yeah. We had one kind of similar to this and I think I might have told this story before. But if you're squeamish, you might want to fast forward a little bit. So we walk into a hoarder house and there is 2 people laying in the bed. One is clearly just like melting into the bed. It's like that one's done. And then the husband was laying next to her and he looked like the same. Like he had bugs all over him and then he took a breath. Yep. And I was like, oh no. So I think she had passed and he just laid next to her like, I'm just going to lay here until I go. But that one was spicy, dude. It was really nasty.
Okay. So
shame on you, gentlemen. I know what department will hire them. This is bringing me back to Sweet Home Chicago. People see Chicago fire engines racing through the streets responding to emergencies, blazes, motor vehicle crashes, industrial mishaps, and medical issues. But another call is dominating the firefighter's day. What would you say it is?
What calls are dominating Firefighters Day?
So when you think
Lift assist.
of big
assist, service calls.
yeah, when you think of like big cities, right? When you were testing for departments, you're like, man, I bet you these guys just like get after it every day, burn every day. It's like backdraft. What's the call?
Lift assist.
Lift assist. They're getting calls to help citizens in and out of their homes as well into their vehicles. Last year, crews responded to 41,539 calls to help. That's up 69% since 2019.
What?
When the pandemic started.
61%.
69%.
We got to say no.
So there's more. Records also show that there were 1,000 structure fires last year for the city of Chicago, which I thought was low for a city that size.
330 a month? No, wait a minute.
Huh?
1,000.
1,000 calls.
So 100 and some a month?
Yeah. So, and granted.
So that's 3 a day?
Yeah. In the entire city, which I thought was low.
Big city.
Yeah. Investigative reporters found that 14 locations called for lift assists more than 200 times last year. Of those, 6 called more than 300 times.
That is a problem.
That is insane. They're calling
Care
literally
facility?
every day.
Care facility?
They didn't say, but I'm assuming.
The system can't support that. It's not made for that.
First, it was nice to know that this is happening everywhere. But
it's disappointing, though, too.
But it's like, what happened in 2019 that created a system where everybody relied on government entities to solve their problems?
Do you have that answer? Are you asking me?
Well, it happened in 2019.
An event?
Yeah.
So you know the answer.
COVID.
Well, that was 2020, bro.
COVID-19. It started
late 2019.
Okay.
The lockdown started in 2020.
But it's like since
COVID-19.
But
true.
But since that time, it's like all these systems that were put in place have clearly had an impact on the way people see public safety to like come in and solve all these problems.
Some departments are already starting to say no.
I think
got to start charging them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. Like, it is a service. My theory is create, smaller crew, 2-person, whatever. They just run service calls in the city, and you stack the calls. So if you do want a lift assist, and there's 5 other lift assists ahead of you, it might be 3 hours. But it is not an emergency because it is not injury. How many times do we have a delayed response to a lift assist? And after about 20, 30 minutes,
they figured
it out.
Right.
Right? How many times, water problems, do they figure it out? Well, who do they figure it out with? They call a plumber.
Yeah.
They go get a neighbor,
But how many times have we been like, hey, the plumber can't show up for 12 hours, so you guys are going? It's like, how? If it's not an emergency.
Call another plumber.
Yeah, if it's not an emergency.
It's like there's one plumber.
Yeah.
It's one locksmith. Oh, he's 3 hours. Remember that one story?
Which one?
They got locked out of their apartment, and they wanted PD to force. And they're like, we called a locksmith, but he's 2 hours out. And then 3 hours later, they call him again. It's like, well, you could have the locksmiths here if you would have just bought in early on, but you wanted a service for free.
When did the fire service make that switch from like, hey, we'll come to anything? Wasn't it an FDIC?
Well, no,
speech?
I think Brunacini was a big push of, Mrs. Smith and service, and these are the customers, treat them as customers, and there's some validity to that. But that's when the system. I mean, it starts from a time when we weren't providing so much medical care.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, we're running 6 calls a day, and 5 of them are like fire based or whatever, and it's like,
sure, we can go the extra mile.
Yeah, we can come out a couple times a day and help people up.
Yeah.
Right. Well, now it's like, I heard a story the other day, lift assist took a crew out of their first due area and they missed their fire. That's not what the system is supposed to do.
Right.
Seeing
all calls as emergencies. I mean, the police don't do that. They don't see all calls as emergencies. They're like, hey, we'll get to those.
No, we need to see the only calls we should be going on are emergencies.
Yeah, but to get there, don't we need to like maybe tier that down a little bit.
Well, that's what you have these like 2-person response cars or whatever. You know, like they can run service calls and you stack them. Your priority is not these calls, but put a resource in place. Fine, do that.
Maybe not even certified firefighters. You know, like maybe that's
100%.
You know,
but what qualifies us to shut off your water?
I mean,
Some of us have some construction knowledge, but what qualifies us to shut off your water?
yeah. You have,
And then how about the people that say we can't lift them up because it's liability? Well, what qualifies us? We lift assists, lift people up. We're just grabbing them by the shoulders and picking them up.
You know what's funny though is that someone's going to call, and I'm sure it's happened. They call 911 for a water problem, right? You have an 18-year-old, a 21-year-old, and maybe like 2 other people who might have a little bit more time on. They've just been to college. They have no experience in the trades, and they're just as clueless as everybody else.
I just figured it out.
Oh, okay.
You want to eliminate the calls? You create these response cars, and you put people on that have no fucking clue. So they get there to turn the water off, and they're like, you have no idea what you're doing. Yeah,
I'm never calling again.
And I'm not calling these guys. These guys are idiots. They tried to change my smoke detector, and now there's a big fucking hole in my ceiling.
That's like when
I'm never calling these guys again.
When you tell your wife you'll do the chores, but you fuck them all up, so she never asks you to do it again.
Yeah. I guess I don't have to clean the bathrooms anymore.
Oh, man.
That's how you do it.
All right. Well,
I mean, but think about that.
You did it.
We are entering a different generation where not as many people on the fire trucks know about construction or know like
they weren't in the trades
shutoffs. Right. There's the trade knowledge isn't there. So I mean, maybe it'll fizzle itself out. I don't know that we keep going to these calls, but then we can't answer it.
And then the department's like, I thought it was a good idea to only hire college graduates.
Yeah. But before you dispatch these calls, I mean, we need to start saying, no, we're not coming.
Right.
Like that's not what we do. This is not an emergency.
Right.
You can call a non-emergency line, and there's one person fielding calls, and it's probably like an hour wait for that.
Yeah.
And then you go into a queue, and it's probably another 5 hours wait because everybody wants something for free. You're going to have to start paying for stuff.
I mean, they do pay taxes. Isn't that?
They pay taxes for emergency response.
There it is.
They pay taxes for fire protection.
Right.
You know?
Not for 24/7 problem solvers.
I mean, is the, like, if a water main is broke in a street,
okay,
that is an emergency, right? That is affecting multiple people and can do a lot of damage and create a lot of problems. Okay? If your water heater is leaking, that's not an emergency.
All right. So what about when people are like, well, an emergency is a time when you can no longer handle with the resources you have on scene?
No. We talked about that yesterday. Just because you think it's an emergency doesn't mean the rest of the world has to think it's an emergency.
Okay.
There has to be, I mean, I think you could talk about what really constitutes an emergency with the majority of Americans. And we could all agree on, like, this is an emergency.
You think that the Americans can all agree on something?
I think the majority, I'm saying you would go with the majority, right? So
it seems like a subjective answer.
Because because your smoke detector's beeping. Is that an emergency?
Oh, I've been on many of those.
I know. Isn't it an emergency?
No.
I think that the majority of Americans would side with you. I know they would.
Yeah.
I mean, there's living in a time, I get it, where you can't really bet on that. But,
yeah,
something that's beeping, you're standing there, it's a smoke detector, and there's no smoke. You know that this is an emergency. What it is, it's fucking annoying to you. You can't sleep, so let's go wake up 4 guys. They can come out
and fix
pull
the
it down. But that's not an emergency. Like, that's life.
Yeah.
Like, I've had the smoke detector beep in the middle of the night when I was on vacation, and I had to get up on a table, on a chair.
Oh, this was like in a hotel.
It was in my condo.
Oh.
And like way up there, right? I had no ladder, but I wanted that shit to stop. but I wasn't going to call 911.
Well, I think you could make the argument that the smart man
Don't do this.
Well, no, that the smart man would fix the problem the easiest way possible, which is just call someone. I'm going to go back to bed. Let me know when it's finished. He's like a CEO of
But you can't
his own
call a
life.
fire department for that.
I mean, I know.
Yeah.
Devil-
I know. It's
devil's
like,
advocate.
I think some people, they can call someone, but I mean, we just
I think we've lost the pride in doing things ourselves.
that, and we just there's some pride in figuring stuff out.
Yeah,
like,
it always feels good.
solving problems.
Yeah.
That's part of like home ownership. It's part of living a life, right? Solving problems. Deviating, audible, this, that. Figure it out. Go on with your day. But
I feel like it really struck a chord with you.
The system is breaking. It's broke, actually. It is broke all over the place. And, like when you're sending a 4-person fire truck and the majority, almost 90% of the calls they go to, they don't need lights and sirens. Now we're just community medicine. That is not what the fire service is. Emergency medicine. It says 911 on the side of the rig.
Yeah, but if they keep calling, we keep showing up, man. Someone's got to.
Well, then here's what you got to do. I mean, you can either cut back the calls, or you can add a shit ton more people,
Right.
and more rigs, and get your 1 mile per gallon fire truck to be going on medical calls that only need like 2 people.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of taxpayer money. We doubled the call volume since I've been in the fire service.
Oh, easy.
And
For what?
not for any emergencies.
Right.
The emergencies aren't increasing.
It's not making us better firefighters. It's not. I think it's making us worse.
I think you find a lot of firefighters that have watched this transition. Say it's 2019, if that's a date you want to give. I was going to say like mid 2010s, 15, 16. There's a lot of firefighters that just don't feel challenged. You're going on this stuff that takes no, we had a call a few weeks ago. There was a gas leak, side of a house, car hit it. We don't go on these that often, but we go on a ton of BS calls.
Yeah.
And then we go on this gas leak, and me and my driver, we're all in, right? We could do something.
Yeah.
Solve a problem, right?
Finally.
I mean, I've been on gas leaks where people just stand around.
Yeah.
I'm in my gear every time. I want to clamp it. I want to stop
something.
the leak. Yeah. With, we get a hose line in place. You
Yeah.
do all that. Use the right tools, monitor the air, all that shit. But we were able to stop it, and then it ended up leaking again, and we stopped it again. But it was kind of funny because what we stopped it with was a number 2 pencil.
Really?
Yeah, it was just this little valve that had broken off, and the threaded portion was inside, and it was the size of a number 2 pencil. So we just took a number 2 pencil and pounded in and stopped the leak until the gas company got there. But I remember the pencil shot off the first time, or one of whatever we used the first time. It held for about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it shot off straight into the air, and we looked at each other and just started
Laughing.
And then we get done with the call, and we're like, that is the most fun I've had on a call in a long time. And it's because you go on these calls that just are not challenging. Did not sign up to do these community medicine calls. No firefighter did. Maybe now.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to ruffle a lot of feathers with this, but they'll say, well, you signed up, you swore the oath as service to the community. We swore for emergency service, to risk a lot to save a lot, that type of stuff. You won't hear me complaining about going to a real fire,
Right.
Going to an extrication, going to a serious accident, or, maybe it's not somebody's hurt, but they're stuck in the middle of the road and it's a very dangerous spot and it's bad weather. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I get that. Let's get you off the road. I get that. But it's just these calls that provide no thought, no problem solving. There's no challenge to it whatsoever. That's one of the reasons I got in this job was the challenge. And there still are calls that are challenging.
Yeah.
But they're watered down by, and sometimes you don't even get to go to them as much because you're so busy on the other ones that aren't challenging.
I think one of the downstream effects is we are, and I know like cancer has always been a big thing, and now this PFAS stuff, and which I think is such bullshit, and it's there obviously, but it's pretty low hanging fruit. If you guys really want to solve the problem, we need more sleep. You're putting wear and tear on your people that's eventually going to cause them to die earlier. There's a study that if you slept just one night for 4 hours, which is a normal firefighter evening, your brain shuts off its ability to fight cancer cells.
So there was a study where they just took individuals and they just gave them 4 hours of sleep for one night. And what they saw was a 70% reduction in critical anti-cancer fighting immune cells called natural killer cells. These are wonderful immune assassins that target malignant cells. So today, both you and I have produced cancer cells in our body. What prevents those cancer cells from becoming the disease that we call cancer is in part these natural killer cells. And after one night of 4 hours of sleep, that is a remarkable state of immune deficiency. And that's one of the reasons why insufficient sleep predicts cancer.
So how are we not attacking that angle as much as we're attacking our gear?
It's too complex of a problem. The gear thing is just easy, man. It's an easy soundbite. It's an easy thing to be like, oh, well, you know what? How about all the chemicals in the clothes that they're issuing us, or the Teflon pans that we have inside the kitchen? Like this PFAS stuff, I'm with you. But like there are supplements you can take that basically help flush that shit out of your system. And so I think it's horseshit.
I'm there with you. Like if I'm going to bet on something, I'm going to bet on that sleep is the causal.
Oh, dude, I think if it's not the cause, it is the one that we should be getting after.
It's something that we should. Well, sleep and obesity.
How about
they're like right in front of us?
Well, let's
but we
take
just
this.
want to like pretend they aren't there.
Let's take this. You have cancer, heart disease, and suicide. Those are the killers of our firefighters. All right. Sleep is connected to all three of those.
Yeah.
Easy. Like that's full stop. We know that. But it's way easier to be like, all right, well, we're going to
change your gear.
We're going to change your gear.
Yeah.
Or like when they took all the BPA out of the plastics, they put in a chemical that's a forever chemical as well. It's not like they're going to find out of blue air, they're going to find this chemical that they could have been using forever that's going to do the same thing. They're just putting another one in.
Well, I mean, going back to what you're saying is low-hanging fruit, they're not addressing sleep as aggressively as the others because that means it's call volume, right?
Yeah. That you have to change something. And so then
12-hour shifts?
Well, that doesn't help either.
Because you're still there at night.
Yeah, you're still messing up your circadian rhythm. And so, I think...
So is it just one of those things that you've got to be okay with? That maybe you get a lot of time off, but it's just that's the disadvantage. Like every job has that, right?
But then that goes back to, hey, I didn't sign up for this. It's like, well, is that something that you just have to deal with?
I don't think that... I mean, I would say that that's something that I did sign up for, is being up at night.
Oh,
It was very clear that you work 24-hour shifts and you make it up at night, and that is what it is, and you're going to come home tired. So I think I was aware of that.
Yeah, but you will. Okay, so let's say this. Let's take the number of hours of sleep is 4 hours, but are you going to have good morale if you were up all those hours doing bullshit or you went to a good fire?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's like we can fix a lot of these problems by getting rid of some of the bullshit.
Yeah, but when you're challenged or motivated, right, you will sacrifice comfort more readily.
You will risk a lot to save a lot. Austin, An Austin firefighter is recovering from a stab wound he received while putting out fires along the interstate early Monday. So this is down in Austin. They're on I-35, and there's a report of someone starting fires along the highway. So we got a guy who is basically has like
Got a torch.
he's got like a drip torch. I assume it's like a jacket or something that's on fire, but he's trying to set all this vegetation on the side of the highway, and the truck is kind of traveling down the road very slow, I assume, to make sure that he doesn't get hit. But like, what's your play here?
1 3/4, put out the fire and whatever's attached to it.
Right, but you're gonna have to stop. You're gonna have to get out.
All right, so water can,
with
a Halligan.
But that's what I'm saying is like,
I mean, I'm hoping PD's there because, I mean, is the guy got a weapon too? Like, if you start approaching him, is he, so that's like one thing that would be concern to me.
yeah. So basically, one of the firefighters.
Is that grounds for like gunpoint and be like, drop it?
It's I mean, isn't fire a deadly weapon?
I mean, I guess you could use less lethal force,
Yeah, that's a taser, I would
Yeah, and
assume.
then just put it out.
But firefighter gets out to talk to this dude and then gets stabbed.
Well, there you go. See that? So that would be.
So it made me. He's doing fine. It sounds like he got like a 2-inch deep cut, probably because he was wearing his bunker. I don't know the whole story. This is a short thing, but it was like, dude, our job is so different now.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's just a mental health issue. That is not really a fire issue.
Right.
Dude's crazy.
Or do you think there will ever come a time where we carry less than lethal with us?
Will we carry more lethal, you saying?
No. Will we carry anything that's like, will we carry tasers? Will we carry...
Probably not.
You don't think so? Mm-mm. They're giving us body armor.
Well, we'd have to be trained for it.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, there it goes back to like service calls, right?
Yeah.
How many of us are trained? Or how many of us are trained for this?
Oh, 0%.
Right? We're trained to put out the fire. We're not trained to deal with a psycho.
Yeah, but I think
we've just been on so many calls that
you could have some people be like, "Hey, don't you have medicines that can sedate that person?"
Nope.
We do.
Yeah.
But you still have to get close enough to that person to assess them and get vital signs and all this other sorts of stuff. But I think to some people on like a city council, they'd be like, well, clearly you can handle that because you have Droperidol or Haldol, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I think that at some point in the fire service, they're going to give us that stuff with the training that goes along with it. That's my thought. That's my theory. Because I never would have thought.
Pay people a lot more.
I never would have thought that we would be wearing full ballistic gear.
Yeah.
And now it's on every rig. I got, as a SWAT medic, we did, but we signed up for that special portion. We got special training and all that. But I see that coming with the downfall of the United States, which is we're currently witnessing. Prisoner scan at county jail finds scissors in a man's rear end.
Dude.
Okay.
Talk about desperate.
Desperate. Okay.
Scissors.
Scissors were found being smuggled into.
Shears or like?
No, I got a picture of it. Scissors, and they were cleaned, obviously, post removal.
I'll prove it.
I mean, they were either clean or this guy's got the cleanest anus in the world.
The guy has no perineum anymore.
Yeah.
It's basically gone.
Scissors were found being smuggled into Indiana jail in the most unusual way. What was surprising is not what was being smuggled in, but how it was concealed. So basically, this guy, anytime you go into jail, I don't know this from personal experience, but they have to completely get you naked, you squat down, and you cough, and some poor soul has to look at your rectum to see if anything like comes out. Okay? So they found this thing, and I guess they did a scan to see like what it was, and it was this pair of scissors, and I sent you that picture if you want to throw it up. That's a legitimate like scrapbookers.
It measures.
That's like 9 inches.
9 inches.
And they're wide. It's not like he broke them in, like, you know how you can break those scissors in half and like make them a little more compact? So my question is,
I love how the rulers like to resist drugs and violence.
Remember the DARE
And
program?
foreign objects up your ass. Yeah.
So how do you do it? Do you handle first or do you do blade first?
I think you go blade, right? Just you kind of
To open her up?
just gradual.
Wall her out?
Tapered.
What are you putting on the tip there? Because they didn't even blunt the tip.
That's a long tip right
That's
there.
a long tip, dude.
Yeah.
Little styrofoam?
Oh, so you're like covering it?
Yeah.
Lots and lots of grease and lube.
Grease? Jesus Christ, dude. That is
I
not
just
what
don't want any,
It's not what I would have went with.
no. Lube. Lots of lube. Grease.
Yeah.
What do you think he's using those for?
I think he's a scrapbooker.
Crafts?
I think he's
You're right.
I think he's a scrapbooker.
They took his love away when they
And he's
locked
like,
him
man,
up.
I got to cut out these magazines. All right. I'm going to give you some prison slang, and I'm going to see if you know what it is. Ooh. Okay. What are bats?
All right. Is it either maybe like a weapon or is it something that comes out at night?
It's cigarettes. Neither.
Oh, no shit.
Bats.
Where's
Yeah.
that come from?
I don't know. This doesn't tell me where it came from. It just tells me what it is.
They got to have code words, right?
This is all that stuff. What are bobos?
They're fucking those nutrition bars.
They're sneakers that are prison issued.
Okay.
What's a bean slot?
Asshole.
It's a food delivery slot in the jail door. Come on, man.
Bean slot. Okay.
Yeah. What's a cage?
Like solitary confinement, a jail cell.
Just your standard prison cell.
Okay.
What if I came up to you and asked to catch a ride?
Catch a ride.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
That's trying to get high off of your drugs.
Ah.
Trying to catch a ride.
I was like piggyback to the cafeteria or what?
Could be. What's doing the Dutch? I like how fun these are. This one's not
Well,
fun.
Dutch oven, right? Farting in your
No, it's
comforter
actually
and drop it
when
over
you're
your cellmate's head.
close, man. It's killing yourself in prison.
Doing the Dutch.
Doing the Dutch, man.
All right.
Oh, this could work at the firehouse. Let's bring this to the firehouse. What's a dump truck?
I don't know.
An overweight, lazy inmate.
Oh shit!
So you can have that one.
You're a dump truck.
Yeah, bring that to the old firehouse.
Well, I mean, how do you define a lazy inmate? I mean, you're in jail. Hey, man, you're not doing your part in here. You're not eating your food, and you're not wiping your ass and going to the bathroom enough.
I think they have jobs. I think they have jobs.
Yeah, but that doesn't that work off their time usually, right? So if you're lazy, you're just gonna be in there for you're not gonna get a recommendation, right, to get out.
I don't know, man. I don't know enough about it. What's a permanent pocket?
Permanent pocket stab wound.
No. Well, kind of. It's a term for a person's anus. It's your permanent pocket.
That's
I've heard it as
hence the scissors.
I've heard it as prison wallet.
Hey man, just put this in your pocket, right?
Yeah, I need that in your permanent pocket. What's pruno?
Spell that for me.
Pruno.
Pruno.
Pruno. That's the toilet wine.
Nasty.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much would it cost for you to try some of that?
Toilet wine?
Yeah.
Well, what exactly are we like? Just straight out of the toilet?
Well, no, I think they put it in baggies, but they ferment it in the toilet. I would try it for nothing. Just for the experience.
No.
No? Nothing?
Experience? Like things you try for the experience, like going on a roller coaster ride or hot air balloon. I'll try this toilet water over here. I just want to, man, it's just the experience.
What's a ratchet?
I know what ratchet means when it's describing some people walking down the street. They're ratchet. They're bad. It's beat up. It's ugh.
How would you? All right, so give me the. I'm going to look this up because I don't know if I know that. I know when I see it.
When you see ratchet?
Yeah, it's like in the Supreme Court in the 70s when they were like, "How can you describe pornography?" And they're like, "You just know it when you see it." Like I just know it when I see it. But how would you describe it? And I'll look it up. What the technical term.
When I think ratchet, I think of like ripped blouse, short skirt, pantyhose ripped, one, high heel shoes with one heel's missing, so they're like limping along, like one leg's just caving in, bruised and battered, and
All right, so this is from.
his hair's just a fucking mess.
I think you're close. So this is from.
I know I'm close.
This is from slang.net, so you know it's real.
Okay.
It's most often used to refer to a ghetto diva who is a gross-looking and/or behaving person. So yeah, you're
ghetto diva.
you're pretty on point. That. All right, let's do one more. What is a sucker ducker? This is what I would be. I would be a sucker ducker in prison.
Someone who always finds a way to get out of being molested by the other cellmates.
That's exactly what it is.
Ducker.
I'd be a sucker ducker.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah. All right. Belgian ambulance driver deployed to ferry a 391 kilo American to a French hospital. A lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to do the math in your head of what that means in our land.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about well over 800 pounds. All right. So this Belgian ambulance was deployed to transfer an American woman weighing 390 kilos or 860 pounds from her home to a friend. What's that?
Is that wrong? Bad?
It is bad.
A lot?
From her home to a French hospital. 40 firefighters, 10 police officers had to be deployed to a northern France home. The walls of the woman's house had to be demolished to get the woman out. We
were talking about how many. We had this girl in our area. She's still in, not our area, but still in a certain district in our city, and how many firefighters' backs she's taken out over the years.
Oh, yeah, I've run on her.
Mm-hmm. Mine was one of them.
So it took 60 people to get this lady out of her house. So what's the fattest person in the world? In the history of the world?
1,100 pounds.
1,400 pounds.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Do we have a picture of this?
Yes. That is John Brower Minoch. He was born September 29th, 1941, and died in 1983. He's the heaviest man in human history, weighing approximately 1,400 pounds or 100 stone at his peak, when he peaked out. At what point do you think you just give up and you're like, I'm going for the record, dude?
You shift from I want to get this under control and maybe take care of myself again, to be like, no, I'm going to go for a Guinness book.
I have a pair of pantaloons that if I can't fit in, I know something's gone awry. I know we're trending in a bad direction.
How big?
What do you mean, how big? How big are the pants?
Yeah, like 44s.
No, I had a pair of pants and then I got a new pair of pants because I ain't going back.
All right. I thought you kept an old pair. It's like,
No,
shit,
I will never get back to that. But no, I have a pair of these 34-inch waist pants that if those start to get real snug, I know it's time to clean it up a little bit.
Okay.
But what happens to someone where they're like, fuck it, dude.
I don't know.
I just give up.
I don't know the whole
Mental
psyche behind it,
Yeah.
addiction versus, what is it? That one movie quote, I eat because I'm fat and I'm fat because I eat. It's a vicious cycle.
Fat bastard.
Right? Yeah. So I don't know if it's a cycle,
But you have to be
I am
surrounded.
not
You have to be
counselor for
surrounded.
this type of thing.
You have to be surrounded by people who allow you to do that, though. Who because eventually you can't, or maybe with the ability to order food to your house, maybe it's easier for those folks. But you still have to get up, go to the door.
No.
Sure.
Nah, man.
You think you could?
I got a code on my door. Can you bring it upstairs? Tip you extra. Ooh, I don't have to get out of bed.
Cold, man. You ever watch those 1,000-Pound Sisters?
It's disgusting.
Oh, I love that show. It is. It's unbelievable, man. The level of filth.
No, I can't watch it.
I love it, dude. That's it, man.
All right.